essentially the hamster wheel that I'm hoping to jump from, not today, not tomorrow, not next year, but before I'm 60 years old, because I don't want to be too old. I want to live more minimally. I want to live with less. Now that I know what it is to work hard and spend money on the things that I wanted and live with more. Granted, I don't have luxury things, but I've had enough. I've had a house, I've had a car. The bigger your material things are, the more expensive your car, the fancier your car, the bigger your house, the more exorbitantly, elaborately glamorized your life is, materialistically, the more it's going to cost you. Unless you're a Kardashian and you were born with money, okay? But if you're working for your money, and even, physicians get tired, lawyers get tired. This is why they take frequent vacations. This is why they're not in the office on Mondays and Fridays and they work 3 days a week, because it's exhausting. But you know what? Even for the working poor who don't make a lot of money to have a whole lot, working 40 hours a week is exhausting. Even if you're not, litigating in court or delivering babies or performing brain surgery, it is still exhausting, because to our level, to our degree, to our knowledge, we're still giving our all to our limitations of what we can and what we know. So with that said, with my type of career, I work with my right hand a lot. And it's been 10 years. I know some people have done it longer, but sometimes I get pain right here in this muscle. Sometimes I get a trigger finger where the finger seems to get stuck. Sometimes I get pain right here in the wrist. Sometimes I get pain in this elbow, muscle. I don't know, the forearm muscle. Actually, I need to go pick up my daughter. I'll do that. Sometimes I get, my elbow gets stuck and I'm always, kind of twisting. When I twist my arm and rotate it like this, it starts to pop. Or even in my shoulder, and then up here in the trapezoid muscle, trapezius, trampoline, the trap muscle hurt, and then it goes up to my neck, and then it goes up to my head, and I get migraines. So my right hand is my money maker. Without it, I can't make money. So I have to keep this in mind. I have to come up with alternative solutions to create streams of income that don't require such physical labor. Because we can't always we're not always going to be able to depend on Social Security. Everybody wake up already. We may not have it at all. We're in so much national debt. Do you really think they're going to give us our paycheck for Social Security? I think all of the Social Security money that I'm paying right now is going to the old people that are using it right now. And I'm not going to get crap. So don't count on that. So yes, investing is important, but you need some sort of passive income, or not passive income, but you need some sort of leftover income in order to invest. So if you're living above your means and you're not, saving anything, you don't have anything to invest with. So working is never going to make you rich. Work and work and work and work your whole life, you're never going to be rich. Working is a tool to get you money. And yes, the money is supposed to make you have a living. It's supposed to sustain you in the sense of it provides shelter, it provides transportation, it provides healthcare, it provides food. But if you use the money that you make after you've paid for those essential needs to now live this lavish, luxurious life, and you have nothing left for your basic essential needs when you're older and too tired to be able to continue this type of work, you're not going to be able to sustain this level of production and energy forever. So you have to start coming up with ideas, and you have to start preparing for it now. And this is what a lot of people fail to see. I don't know why, I've always had this weird fear of losing my sight. Heaven forbid, knock on wood. Because there are so many beautiful things that I want to see with my eyes. I have sunspots. What do they call them? Those little sunspots. I guess looking at the sun too many times or whatever. When I was a kid, I don't know. But where I look up and sometimes I close my eyes if it's a very bright day and I see these little flutters, these little flurries in my eye. And that's partial little sections of your eye that's blind. If I don't have great vision from a distance, if I want to see a beautiful sight, I better put on my glasses so I can really see it nice and sharp and crisp and beautiful. I don't want to miss out on things because it's too late, because I'm too old, because I can't hike now, because I have pain in my legs or my hips or my knees, or because now, whatever. And I can't end up in a situation in which I don't have any ability to earn my income without being in daily pain, because now my hand and my arm has exhausted itself to the point where it's no longer sustainable. I can't do this type of work anymore. I am in the process of trying to prepare for all of that. That's where the brainstorming has to come in. That's where the ideas have to come in. I lose my train of thought. I started making this video about 5.5 minutes ago, almost 6 minutes, and I don't even remember why I started making the video, what I started talking about. Okay, I just realized what it was. The hamster wheel that I'm hoping to jump off of. I don't want to require so much. I want to live more minimally. I don't ever want a BMW or a Mercedes or a Jaguar or a Lexus or a Land Rover or a bigger house or more fancy vacations. And by fancy, you know what I mean, like fancy. Camping isn't fancy, okay? Nature isn't fancy. It's majestic, it's not fancy. I don't want more expensive materialistic things in my life if it means that I have to work harder for it. It's getting to the point where it's no longer worth it. If I didn't have children to take care of, I would give up my big-ish house, because it's not huge, but it's not tiny, it's big enough. My nice-ish house, because it's not amazingly like top of the line, but it's not pure crap either. I would downsize significantly to a lesser house, lesser car, lesser lifestyle, so that I can have more free time. In order to sustain this lifestyle, it takes my time. 40 hours of my week, not counting commutes. I'm driving around a parking lot, going in circles because my daughter comes out of her tutoring in like 10 minutes and I can't find a parking spot. Right now I want to be home. If I had more free time, if I worked only part-time, I could have been home earlier, gotten a lot of things done, and then come here to pick her up when it was time to pick her up. So I came here directly after work. And now I'm just circling the parking lot. And I'm just realizing how little time I have left to do anything besides having had work today. It's 6:30. This is a time 12 hours ago that I left my house to start my day. I've been on the go doing everything else for 12 hours. What time is there for self-care, for hobbies, for things that bring you joy? There isn't any. You live on survival. You live to sustain your expensive lifestyle. So I want to get off of that path. I want to have less when I get older. It's not going to make me miserable. It's not going to make me unhappy to have less, because what I will have is more freedom, more time, and more money. Because if you're not spending exorbitant amounts of money on these lavish things, you now have more money in your pocket to just take care of the basics and the essentials, and have the free time and the luxury of location, of going wherever you want, whenever you want, being wherever you want, doing whatever you want. But it has to be minimal, and it has to be simple, and it has to be humble. For me, being a nature lover, it will be very easy to find joy with very little money in that regard, as long as my basic needs are taken care of. I talk a lot about money, and it's not because I'm money hungry and I want to be richer so that I can have nicer things. It's so that I can have the stability that I need and the money that I'm gonna need for the future to live off of, so that I don't have to keep doing this. You only live one life. One. 40 and a half, almost 41 of years of mine are gone. Tomorrow's not promised to me. Next month is not promised, and neither is next year. Who knows how many years I'll have left. And there's so much out there that could bring me joy. And to think that I'm spending every single day doing the same thing over and over again just to sustain the materialistic things that I have purchased is ludicrous to me. And that was something that I once wanted. And I'm now realizing that I don't want it. It wasn't wrong of me in the past to have wanted it before, and it's not wrong of me now to no longer want it. But when you have children, you have an obligation, you have a responsibility. You have to give them stability. They have to have a home. They have to have a room with a bed. They have to have food. They have to be able to go to school. But once those kids leave the nest and they're off in college and university and they're studying and they have their money put away for those studies and they're getting jobs and they're living with roommates and they're kind of starting to be independent, you can still maintain some level of, here's a nest that you can fly back to should you need it. Here's, But if you wanted to sell your house and go, and then they don't have a house to come back to, that's a responsibility now they have. They have to sustain themselves. There's a lot of adults that have been enabled by their parents so much that they never feared falling off their own nest because they always knew they would land on their parents' nest. I've never really had that luxury. Do I get some help from my mom? Yeah. Have I lived with my mom before? Yeah. But that was for a limited time. I knew it was going to be for a limited time. I knew it wasn't going to be able to happen forever. There was not going to be room for me forever. The one room that I lived in with my mom is now the room that my grandmother lives in with her, because my grandmother got older and couldn't live alone anymore. Like, the generations and the things and the needs go changing. My children are bigger. There's no way in hell the three of us would have been able to fit into a room now. I had to grow. I had to get out of her nest again. And right now, should something go wrong with the moneymaker or a peer or anything, my health, and I'm not capable of earning my own, I have nowhere to land. And so that fear drives me to not only continue to sustain for today, but to make sure that I have enough set aside, saved up, to be able to invest for tomorrow. So I won't go get a pedicure and a manicure, because a little bit of color on the tips of my hands and feet for $120 that I could be putting into the S&P 500. Picking this one over this one, to me, seems ludicrous. Botox, it's running out. I can go get it again if I wanted to. I don't want to. Because that's money that I can be putting towards the future me, to liberate myself from having to wake up at 6 in the morning and drive for an hour and spend 40 hours of my week in a box and never getting to experience the things that would bring me joy. The mountains, the forests, the rivers, the deserts, the sunsets, everything.